Hope you guys enjoy this quick little video. Once again, it's the master, Jason E. Williams, better known as Elm Street. Knowledge is power when applied correctly. This quick video is going to talk about Christmas, Jesus, and how all these are mind control programs created by the government to control your mind, which controls your thoughts and actions. Peace and enjoy. Peace and love. It's your brother, the master, Jason Elm Street Williams, live in effect. Today, I'm going to talk a little quick conversation on Christmas and Jesus. You know, it saddens me. It honestly does break my heart to see that our people, black people, African people, let's say especially in America right now, are still practicing Christianity. This is a religion, a faith-based religion, based off of no facts. There are no factual evidence that Jesus Christ ever existed. We know that the letter J was not even in existence during that time period, that the book called the Bible, basic instructions. And me personally, I'm not a basic brother. I'm advanced, I'm smart, I'm an intellectual. So far as me, the Bible is not going to help us or help my people build a nation, build our temples, agriculture. And the science behind the Bible is false, because we know that the man has an XY chromosome and the woman has an XX chromosome. The woman came first. So any teaching that is teaching the world that there's only one way to become intelligent and divine, that's a lie. Any religion or belief system that is teaching the world that men are superior than women, that's a lie. So now we got to look on society. It's a male-based dominated society. Women receive less paid wages. They get raped. I mean, it's crazy. And that's all pretty much, I would say, based on the fact that men walk around here thinking that they're above women, when in actuality, it is the queen. A man can never be a king without a woman. You know what I'm saying? So the woman brings forth life. She gives life. She is the mother of civilization. So any teaching that's degrading women has to go. You know, the man did not come first. And the man, I mean, do you honestly think that the woman came from a man's rib? I mean, it's 2015. We're going to have to start thinking a lot deeper when it comes to this. So basically, in the story of Jesus, they're talking about the son being reborn, the son being birthed. But we know in ancient times, the Christians call them pagans. They already had celebrations on December 21st, December 25th. You see, the Romans invented Christmas to get more pagans to come in to their religion, because it was a war, a real war that broke out between monotheism, which is the belief in one God, one way, which we know there's no one way to do anything. There's no one way to fight. There's no one way to make love. There's no one way to shoot a jump shot. There's no one way to sing. There's no one way to rap, okay? So any teaching that is teaching you that this is the only way, and if you do not listen and believe in these teachings, you burn in hell, that is false. There's not been one person come back from hell or come back from heaven. They also say that God lives in heaven, which is the furthest star. Now, unless God has a spacecraft that can travel wormholes, that means God and Jesus are still on their way to the furthest star. So that's pretty much impossible. So we know those teachings are false. Now, as far as us as melanated black people, the slave masters used to torture us. They used to rape the kids, rape the men, rape the women, cut the baby out of the woman's stomach and smash the head in. The slave master used to tie the brothers up by horses and rip us apart. So it wasn't through love that Christianity was put into our people, it was through hate and slavery and torture. It is 2015 and there's too much knowledge on the internet. You can get more knowledge about black history on the internet than we learned in school. So once again, I'm breaking it down a little bit. As we know, you can look it up. I want people to look up the Council of Nicaea. And this is when they invented Jesus Christ. Because as we know, this is a character in a book that is not real black people. You see, it was illegal for black people to read, and it seems as if black people have forgotten this. Most black people don't even understand the Bible to this day. God's never shown his face. Black people getting killed still left and right. We're locked into prisons. It's pretty shameful. So we're going to have to start breaking these things down. We know that the sun's lowest point is between December 21st and December 25th. So that means that the sun subliminally or symbolically dies. Then the sun is born again on December 25th and rises. So now we know where the Christians stole from the pagans the worship and admiration of the sun, which we call the winter solstice, when things die and start being rebirthed again in nature. So now we learn that the so-called pagan holidays were amazing because it was showing reverence and love to Mother Nature. There's no such thing as Father Nature. It's the mother, because the woman, the earth, is a living entity. She gives life. Literally, think about it. The earth has to be living because life comes from the earth. Plants grow. This is why there's a war on drugs. This is why they're giving us fake foods now, genetic clone foods that have no nutrition, that have no knowledge, because when you eat, you get information. Just like if you smoke a joint, you start thinking on higher levels, just on anything. So we know it's a war on our minds. So us as black people, we are still enslaved. If the majority of black Americans are still celebrating Christmas, still going to church praising Jesus Christ, we are still enslaved. The white boys and women, they didn't let you go like you think. There were no ships waiting for you to go back to Africa. You never got your reparations, okay? Other immigrants are allowed to come to America and they get benefits, they get land, they get money to start their own businesses. Yet the slaves, how many black businesses are there really? I mean, in your city, they got the Chinatown, you got the Mexican towns now, Little Mexico. The white people got the world. What do black people got? Why is there a church in every black community? Several churches. How many churches do you see in white neighborhoods? None. They're usually in industrial districts because it's a business. The pastor doesn't even have to pay taxes. He reads from a book. These people can't even build a pyramid to this day, and they're trying to get us to worship a book. Think about it, a book. No evidence of anything, but they call ancient Egypt evil. Why? But we know about secret societies that are ran by white people that secretly say they believe in God. They say they believe in Jesus, but behind closed doors, they're practicing the ancestors' ancient magic of Santeria, voodoo, the ancient Egyptian mystery school systems. You learn about the Freemasons, the Skull and Bone, the Illuminati. These are all European-based organizations that have stolen the so-called pagan evil ways of life, and they use that great information to control the world. Meanwhile, they give the normal citizen Christianity, Islam, and Judaism to control them. So now if a person believes in Jesus, they can't think higher on certain levels. Most people who believe in the Bible have to believe that the ancient Egyptians were evil. And we know that the ancient Egyptians were black. So wouldn't it be smart for a racist white man and woman back in the day to say, okay, before I let my slaves off of our land in the slave quarters, let's allow them to start reading. because it was illegal for black people to read. If you got caught reading as a slave, you were immediately put to death. Why? It's because you would be able to influence the other slaves and make them think different than what the white man wanted you to think. So he gave you the Bible as your first book. So because you didn't have any knowledge, you were a slave. The only thing that you knew was what he gave you, because after he killed off generations, you got to understand, y'all, we were enslaved for 400 to 500 years. Physically. That's longer than black people have been free in America. Think about it. Black people were enslaved for 500 years. 400 to 500 years. And we've only been free less than 200. So you know that we're fucked up. You know that the white man who created this society isn't an idiot. He's highly intelligent. Very intelligent. But he runs his world through brute force. You see, we are people of love. You got to understand, when the white race came to America, Africa, they died off. But we were loving people. Us as Native Aboriginal Americans, you guys must know that there were black people in America prior to Columbus and slavery. This is a fact. So now we know that they lied in the history books as well, saying that all black people come from slavery in the continent of Africa. Learn about the Olmecs. Learn about South America. Learn about the black Californians. Learn about the original people of the land called Mexico. They're black, looking like me. That's why the Mexicans right now, because they're whitening them out. Go look on Telemundo. They got blonde hair in their light. But the real Mexicans, if you go deep in Mexico, they're very dark and they have curly hair. And that comes from their African bloodline. So now when you look in the back of the dollar bill, you'll see an actual pyramid. You feel me? Let me show you. This is a fact. Okay. Now that's Horus, which you see the eagle, which we know was the hawk in ancient Egypt. And we know that's an African Egyptian pyramid as well. So now we know that the founders of this nation were master masons, and that means that they got their knowledge from ancient Egypt. So now any religion that is teaching you that the ancient Egyptians were evil is a lie, because even according to the Bible, Moses learned all of his knowledge in Egypt. So basically, I hope you guys are getting a little bit of information about what Christmas is really all about. It's a government-created holiday now to make money. Jesus is a mind control program. There was never any man named Jesus during that time. That's fake. So it's time for us as black people to wake up, and all of humanity to wake up. Because like I said, the original man is the black man. That means that the entire planet, whether you're white, blue, brown, Mexican, European, you all come from us. It is time for us as black people to wake up. We are the gods. We do come from outer space. We set up human colonies all over the galaxy. That's why they blew up the pyramids, because the pyramids are stargates. We were able to destabilize our atoms and photons and neurons and travel across the galaxy, travel the pyramid to land the landmass, and this is scientifically proven. They showed you on Star Trek about all that. Beam me up, Scotty. It's facts. You're made of atoms, photons, neurons, and electrons. So truly, we're traveling through outer space at a high velocity of speed, and that's why everything is solid. So once again, now let's learn about white supremacy with Jesus. They gave you a picture of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man that was God. The only person on the planet to ever come for humans was a white man. Imagine what that did to black people's minds when they got released from slavery and started able to read books. They started looking to white people as God, because God is a white man. Do you get it now? So subliminally, subconsciously, they implanted an image of a false cartoon character, just like Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is not real. It's a cartoon. But through animation and pictures, Mickey Mouse is now real in your head. Cinderella is real in your head. Do you believe in Cinderella? Santa Claus is real in people's heads. Little children's heads, until someone told you that it wasn't real and you went and checked your parents' closet, you actually believed in Santa Claus. We did. It's the same thing with God and Jesus. But now we have proof. We can read, we can search the internet. I've been to Africa, I've been to Egypt. I've seen the statues of the gods that my people love and admire, and it was us. Ain't that something? I've been to Egypt and seen advanced, perfectly sculpted megalithic structures. And when you go inside the temples and pyramids, it is not white people. It's clearly black people. That's why they say Egypt's evil in the Bible. That's why they give you Jesus, because they don't want you to be a god. If Jesus, for people who believe in Jesus, if Jesus is a white man, that means that Jesus is God. That means that white people come from God, and that's why they treat you like shit. That's why they walk around here with white privilege and do all this shit, because there's white people and black people who really believe in Jesus, my nigga. They really believe that a white man came from outer spaces. That's what heaven is. Heaven means, when translated, is Orion, Oranos, Orion's belt. Coincidentally, December 25th, you guys look to the sky and you'll see 3 stars, 3 kings, the rising of the sun, the rebirth, the birth of the sun. It's the same story as Jesus hidden. This is why you got to learn about secret societies. Learn about Greek fraternities. It's all in there. But us as black people got to wake up, because I don't want to go over your guys' head, but a change is already here in case you haven't seen. And it's going to keep changing. So the best thing to do is arm yourself with knowledge. You know, we're not talking about blowing people up, shooting people. You know, we're talking about informing our people. Yet the slave master and his army still kill black kids. They give black kids guns. Look at Chicago. There's more black kids who got killed in Chicago than Iraq. Think about that. There's a war going on in the black community right now that was perpetrated by the slave master. You know, where did the guns come from? There's no gun factories in Africa. We don't make bullets. So how did they get in the black community? We're at war. We are still slaves, y'all. They let you off of the slave plantation because they knew that they gave you just enough information. Just like when they say us back in our past lives in ancient Kemet and in Africa, we gave white people knowledge because they were they couldn't talk. The white man couldn't even talk. He was grunting. He was a caveman. Many of them walked on all fours, y'all. These are facts. It's not racism. The white man was a caveman. He's scientifically speaking, the white race is no older than 6,000 years old. But they have found 60 million year old bones of humanoids in Africa. So that means that African people, black people, have been here since the land before time. Get that? They have found million-old bones of humans in Africa, which proves scientifically that we have been here for millions of years while the white race just got here. Then we're going to start learning, how was the white race created? Because we know when a being turns white or albino, that's the death of a species. That's why they try to celebrate albino animals and things of that nature, is because it's a death. Like being white is death. After being white, there's nothing left for a human being. That's why you start off dark with curly hair. The more you degenerate, your hair will go down. My hair defies gravity. It grows up like a tree. No other race on the planet has hair like us. Coincidentally, the story of Jesus, they say he had skin in the book of Revelations. Look it up. This is how you know Jesus was used for white supremacy. And you can reverse it and become a god using that silly ass book too. They say Jesus, according to the Bible, had skin of burnt brass. That's black, homie. That's dark. Burnt brass. That's what the Bible says. And hair of wool. There's only one group of people on the planet who have hair of wool, and that is black African people. So even if you're a Christian and you want to believe in the story of Jesus, that's a black man. And so if Jesus is black, that means that white people are not the children of God. Black people are the children of God. And it is us who are born to lead. Let's not even say rule. Black people are the children of the Creator, the firstborn. Africa has the richest minerals in the world, on the planet. The animals are the most beautiful, exotic creatures on the planet. Okay? So now we know that the gold, the diamonds, the cobalt, the minerals, the animals, just think how great the Creator created the human being, the black woman and the black man. How great are we that every other race can come up out of us. Yet the world hates us. The world doesn't love God because I am God. I am all. I created all human beings. Literally, my bloodline proves it. That lets you know that you've been here before because of your bloodline. But they give you a teaching. They give you religion. Then you go to school where they miseducate you and they give you a false sense of reality. People today are finally waking up to the fact that Christopher Columbus did not discover America. But we know that they taught that in school and they still teach it to this day. And we know that there were Native American red Indians. They don't even teach about the black Indians. Got you there, huh? So let's keep building, man. I'm about to close out in a little bit. I believe we touched on the war between monotheism, polytheism, and Nimrod. These now Orion, or not just Orion, Osiris, which represents Orion and the three stars. And basically, our ancestors say we come from the Orion's belt in the Sirius star system before we came here. Now that's interesting. Black people and different humanoids live across the galaxy. There's other life forms of intelligence throughout the galaxy. You're telling me that humans aren't the only intelligent beings in the universe? That's what our ancestors teach. That's what I teach. And that's what I know. I don't have to believe. You know, belief is something that you can't prove. I know that the black man was the original man. I know when I use the word God now, you might hear me say, oh, there's no such thing as God, which is true. God is a word. God is an English term, and the English language is new. So we know that if we're talking about the name or the sound of music, the sound to call upon the Creator, it's not God. It can't be God because God's an English word. So no, I don't believe in God. Why would I worship God when God is a word? God is a word. People are hypnotized. Think about it. God is a sound, a word. It's not real. It's made up. It's a song. It's a tone. So then you got to wonder, who the fuck are you calling upon? Is that why black people believe in Jesus, but they're still hoods? Niggas have no businesses, no jobs. There's more black men in prison than in college. It's horrible for we die of diabetes, heart attacks, strokes. We have the lowest or the highest mortality rate, meaning that we die the quickest. But God is good. God is not real. If you want to define God as all and the master of the, that's you. Because when you die, brothers and sisters, the world continues. And you evaporate because you're made up of atoms, photons, neurons, but you do have a soul. Some of us, and that's what they're doing. If you give your soul to Jesus, you gave your soul to an entity that you know nothing about. Our ancestors didn't worship Jesus. The white cracker, racist white man gave you that. He didn't love you. Do you think that a racist, slave-owning white man who still controls the world today would give his black slaves knowledge so they could become equal to him or greater than him? No way. So he gave you Christianity. And now, look at black people as a whole. Don't look at, oh, well, God's doing good for me. I got a house and car. Do you ever notice that every other race is about them? The white man, they're individuals, but when shit's going down, they're European. Chinese, Asian, Korean, they're Asian. Japanese, they stick together. Mexicans, they stick together. Black people are the only people divided. Christians, Baptists, Muslim, atheists. I mean, it's nuts. And it's all confusion. The best thing to do that they say is evil is study ancient Kemet. Study ancient Egypt. Why do I stress it? I mean, there's civilizations that are prior to Egypt, and I believe we're more advanced. We could talk about Atlantis, Mu, but our people are too dumb. I got to give you solid proof. So when you study Egypt and know that it's not evil, then you can look at that as you, my sister and brothers. You can look at so many dynasties. You can look from the 1st to the 25th, the 13th dynasty, different pharaohs, different queens, different sons, different priests, different teachings, and it was all about growing the mind and knowledge. And then you can see the structures. In order to build a pyramid, they tell you throughout the Bible and Christianity, oh, the slaves built the pyramids. Grab me 10 niggas off the street and I bet you they can't even build a fucking house. I know a few Mexicans I could grab. So a slave could not have built the pyramids. It had to be workers who were getting paid in other forms. They had to have good food. They had to have good living quarters, because those bricks in that building, when I saw it, is perfect. Literally. Like, there's mistakes in buildings. They crumble when there's earthquakes. The paint goes off. When you go inside them pyramids and temples in Africa, the paint is still there. 10,000s and thousands of years after, you got to repaint your house every few years. The pyramids are perfectly, geometrically, mathematically, scientifically aligned with certain star systems. Huh? So now we know that it took masters, intelligent black people, to build ancient Egypt, not slaves. And let's forget about the pyramids in Egypt. Since they want to say that Egypt was evil, let's go to the Sudan. Let's go to Darfur, Africa, where there's a war out right now, water shortage. But we know that the Sahara Desert was once a lush land, and we know that they say that they have found radiation in the sand, and our ancient ancestors and us talk about how they dropped a nuclear bomb on this planet. Could that be the Sahara Desert, and why the pyramids are blown up? It just looks like, when you go to the pyramids, it looks like there was an aerial assault, like jets. Coincidentally, they would call them Thunderbirds in ancient times. Those are spaceships. Our ancestors were telling us that some other group of beings came down, like they show you in Star Wars and all these movies, came down and shot our shit up. It's true. We're not alone in the universe. And in order to wake up our minds, you got to get up out that Bible. You got to get rid of that Jesus. You got to get rid of the white man's God. If not, hey, have fun in his world. You're not going to be welcome in our world, because you're going to cause trouble. You're going to cause mischief. You're going to cause confusion. I'm going to end it showing love to the story, even though these are characters, the story of Nimrod. Much love for building the Tower of Babel, because the God of the Bible is a devil. He's a demon. He's a trickster, jealous God. That's a human trait. The creator of the universe would not be jealous. The creator of the universe wouldn't have to constantly tell his followers, you cannot worship another God. That is letting you know that there's other gods. If someone has to keep reminding you, hey man, don't go over there. Don't fuck with him. That there's something going on. So when they built the Tower of Babel, it was a great thing if you read the book. The Tower of Babel is a great thing. Don't get confused by religion. If you're going to read the book, read it as a book. These people were getting along according to the book. The people had one language and they were communicating. They had science, math, agriculture, and together they were building towers, pyramids to the skies, talking to their gods, their extraterrestrial ancestors, or aliens, whatever you want to call them. Okay? And this particular God saw this and he became enraged. He became jealous. Why would an all-knowing God be jealous? If he's the all-knowing, why don't you go over there and build your own Tower of Babel? Why are you jealous of someone else being happy and successful in their world? Sounds like the white man to me. The more and more you read that Bible, it sounds like the racist cracker. Think about it. The Native Americans, we were good. Where the white man comes, fucks our shit off. Africans, we might have had internal beef, but when the white man came, what did he do? Divided us, tore our shit up, gave us diseases. Chinese, the Pacific Islanders, everywhere the white race has gone, they have not caused peace. They have caused conflict because they're jealous. They have a sickness naturally. That's why they're white. You know what I'm saying? White is a disease like pus. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be dark on a planet of the sun. What living being burns under the sun? Name me one animal that can go out in the sun and just get burnt. That lets you know that the white man don't come from this planet, and the story goes right that they were created. And that's another story. So arm yourself with knowledge. Knowledge equals power when applied correctly. I'm the master of the universe, and so are you. Find your inner glow. I'm Jason Elm Street Williams. Peace and love. 1.